UBS building next to the Dhoby Ghaut MRT. I came to the junction of Penang Road and Fort Canning Link, and in front I could see the tunnel at Fort Canning. There's a short tunnel next to Fort Canning. I'm walking towards Orchard Road Presbyterian Church. About 100 meters ahead, I'll be at the entrance of Orchard Road Presbyterian Church. In front you can see the building, white walls, orange roof. That is the Orchard Road Presbyterian Church. The Orchard Road Presbyterian Church. Orchard Road Presbyterian Church, established in 1856. It's a very old church, ORPC, very nice building. There's the Orchard Road Presbyterian Church, very nice building. This is the main entrance of Orchard Road Presbyterian Church, a very nice building. Presbyterian Church, Orchard Road Presbyterian Church. And I'm walking up the flight of steps. Right in front I could see the building, orange roof, white walls. That is the Wesley Methodist Church. The Wesley Methodist Church. Very beautiful building. Wesley Methodist Church. You can see the sanctuary of Wesley Methodist Church still retained. Wesley Methodist Church, very old building. On this side I can see the YMCA building. Another multi-story building, National Museum of Singapore. Well, this is the facade of the National Museum of Singapore. Very old building. Since colonial days, when the British were here, this was built. Right in front of me is the SMU, Singapore Management University. On my right, you can see the National Museum building. Very, very old building. This is the heritage tree, the Indian rubber tree of Ficus elastica. The leaves are green, but the tip is pink in color. Ficus elastica. This part was actually the former National Library, the old National Library. The facade is still retained. And this pillar here, I remember this pillar was here in 1957 when I was a young student at Raffles. This pillar was already here. So whenever I pass the National Library, I will come to this place here to take my ice kacang. Fortification line. This marker indicates one point along the former fortification line of ancient Singapura. This ancient earthen rampart was described in 1822 by John Crawford, the second British resident of Singapore, and marked on an 1822 map as the ancient lines of Singapore. So this is a very historic place. Right now it has become the SMU, Singapore Management University. Right, This was the old National Library, and there are some sculptures here, possibly erected by N. Parks. Alright, this was not here in 1957, so possibly it was erected much later. Very interesting sculptures here. So next to the library, I came to this escalator, and I'm going up the escalator. Very interesting place, quite near to the National Museum, Fort Canning. Very old park, but has been upgraded several times. Right, long ago there was a cocoa tree, the Broma cacao, that was planted here, and this tree has been retained. Although it was old, but I suppose this is a young tree that was planted here from the seeds of the old tree, the cocoa tree. Starfruit tree with the white and pink flowers, Everal carambola, very interesting. One is a gambia tree, one of the famous gambia tree of Fort Canning. The gambia, called the Uncaria gambia, was one of Malaya's most important crops during the 19th century. Gambia contains tannins, making it useful for dyeing fabric and tanning leather. William Farquhar collection of natural history drawings shows the gambia tree. This one has so this is the gambia tree. Black stem, dark purplish stem, sugarcane or Saccharum officinarum, the famous sugarcane. Another famous tree, Ziziphus mauritiana, very nice. This one is a guava tree, a guava tree, fragrance. The famous nutmeg tree is here, nutmeg tree. I'm coming next to the Fort Canning Park, the historic Fort Canning Park. There's an old cemetery here, and the walls are very old and dirty looking. On the walls here, very old, you can see some tombstone sacred to the memory of William Templeton, shipwright who departed this life in 1829, aged 50 years. He was an affectionate husband and a sincere friend to all who knew him. Sacred to the memory of Ada, wife of W.C. Lask, who died in 1864, aged 55 years. In life respected, in death lamented. So all the old tombstones here, very interesting. You can see the nutmeg fruit, green color, slowly turning yellow. The nutmeg fruit is round, about the size of a ping pong ball. The nutmeg is about the size of a ping pong ball. This is a famous lemongrass, or the thalia plant. The thalia flower, white and purple, with the waterfall in the background. This is the Registry of Marriages at Fort Canning, the Registry of Marriages at Fort Canning. It says Real Love Works. Real Love Works. So ROM, Registry of Marriages, and Registry of Muslim Marriages. See the ROM, ROMM. I'm coming down to Canning Rise. Canning Rise. In front you can see the Bible House, a 3-story building called the Bible House. And on the left you can see the SMU. This is the National Archives of Singapore building. National Archives of Singapore. The old Armenian church in front, very old church. In fact, the oldest church in Singapore is the Armenian church. This is Funan Mall, at one time a very popular computer shop, but now it has changed and become more of an eating center, a lot of food courts. Opposite you can see the tall building, 6-story building, green windows, blue windows, purple windows. That was the old Hill Street Police Station, but now it has converted to a ministry, government ministry, Singapore Parliament House. I'm now going into this small tunnel beneath the road. I'm walking along the sides of the Singapore River. There's a mural in this tunnel, very beautiful. I could see ships, clouds, buildings, and a few cyclists paddling along this way. There's a picture of Sir Stamford Raffles, 1819, the beginning of Singapore trading. Sir Stamford Raffles. So this is the new Singapore Parliament building. Grey walls with the orange roof. Singapore Parliament. You can see the Singapore crest and the flag at the top. This is the Singapore River, the famous Elgin Bridge. Elgin Bridge. You can see a lot of boats in the Singapore River. At one time, this river was very dirty until Mr. Lee Kuan Yew decided to clean up the river. On the left, I could see the OCBC Bank, FWD Singtel, UOB building, very tall skyscrapers. So this is a banking sector of Singapore. All the major banks are here. Today the water looks a bit dirty. I do not know why, but NEA has to do something to clean up this river. 10 years ago it was very clean, but today it's a bit dirty. I hope NEA will do something to clean up the water. It's very sad to see the quality of water deteriorating. Now it's a bit brownish. Plumeria obtusa, very nice tree. It says here Civil District Tree Trail, Raffles Landing Site. The tree in front of you is called Singapore White Frangipani, Plumeria obtusa. It grows up to 12 meters in height and has an irregular shape or rounded crown. So this tree is quite tall, a lot of white flowers. And next to it I could see the statue of Sir Stamford Raffles, a white statue of Sir Stamford Raffles. Right, he was looking away from the Singapore River. Maybe he didn't like the smell of Singapore River, so he looked away from the river. Di tempat yang bersejarah ini, Thomas Stamford Raffles mula-mula mendarat di Singapura pada Januari 1819. So the board here says we arrived on 28 January 1819. This was Raffles' landing place at the Singapore River. On this historic site, Sir Thomas Stamford Raffles first landed in 1819, and with genius and perception changed the destiny of Singapore from an obscure fishing village to a great seaport and modern metropolis. Here you can see the white statue of Sir Stamford Raffles perched on a white pedestal. This is about 10 meters tall. This is the building with yellow white walls and an orange roof. The Asian Civilizations Museum, ACM, Asian Civilizations Museum. Very old building. Opposite I could see the Bank of China, Maybank, and the Fullerton Hotel. So this place is full of very important historic buildings. Here a bust of Deng Xiaoping, 1904 to 1997. Originally known as Deng Xiansheng and his school name Deng Xixian, Deng Xiaoping was born in 1904 in Sichuan province. In 1920, he left for studies in France. His 6 years stay in France proved to be a turning point in his life. He met Zhou Enlai and other founders of the Communist Youth League in Europe and joined the League in 1923 and the Communist Party of China in 1924. This one says President Ho Chi Minh 1890 to 1969. Ho Chi Minh was born in 1890 in the village of Kim Lien in central Vietnam. Born to a Confucianist scholar in the then French colony of Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh was the youngest of 3 children. He was introduced to the ideas of Vietnamese modernists and French thinkers such as Jean-Jacques Rousseau and Charles-Louis Montesquieu. He first heard about the lofty ideals of liberty, égalité, fraternité as a boy of 13 and longed to see the France that pronounced them. So this is Ho Chi Minh. You can see the main entrance of Asian Civilizations Museum, ACM, very beautiful. And the Cavenagh Bridge over here, a very old bridge built by the British. It says Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, 1889 to 1964. Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India. Pandit Nehru was a leader who was loved and respected by Indians and admired by the world for his ideals and statesmanship. He was born in Allahabad, India, to Swarup Rani and Motilal Nehru, a lawyer active in India's national movement. So this is Prime Minister Nehru. This is Elgin Bridge, a very old bridge. And the police notice says Cavenagh Bridge, the use of this bridge is prohibited to any vehicle of which the laden weight exceeds 300 weight and to all cattle and horses by order of Chief Police Officer. So in those early days, cattle and horses used to pass here, but today there are no more Asian Civilizations Museum. Here's a very old tree, more than 100 years old. Siva District Tree Trail. When this tree was redeveloped in 2014, 8 mature rain trees, Samani Saman, were affected by the realignment of Fullerton Road and the creation of a new lawn in front of Victoria Theatre. So you can see in the distance Victoria Memorial Hall, Victoria Theatre, very beautiful. And this beautiful monument here says, the words are in Tamil. I could not read the Tamil words. I'm not sure whether 由欧洲人华侨以本地原住民建立，以纪念最尊贵的英国族印度总督大儿豪西豪 Housi Ho. And in English it says erected by the European, Chinese and native inhabitants of Singapore to commemorate the visit in 1850 of the most noble, the Marquis of Dalhousie, Governor General of British India, on which occasion he recognized the wisdom of liberating commerce from all restraints, under which enlightened policy this settlement has rapidly attained its present rank among British possessions, and with which its future prosperity must ever be identified. So this is the Dalhousie Victoria Theatre. Between Victoria Theatre and the Asian Civilizations Museum. The Fullerton Hotel is this bridge called the Anderson Bridge. The Anderson Bridge. I'm now at Esplanade Park. If I go straight, I'll come to the War Memorial Park. On my left is St. Andrew's Cathedral. So this is the park near the city. You can see Marina Bay Sands, Fullerton Hotel, Singapore Flyer, Esplanade Theatres on the bay, all around here. Very beautiful place. This was called the Go Zhang Qiu Ka. The spot where 5 angsana trees stand in Esplanade Park is known in Hokkien as Go Zhang Qiu Ka, which means under the shade of the 5 trees. Between 1960 and 1980, this area was regarded as a popular dating spot for grey lions, a white structure, glass windows and a black roof. Right, so there are lions guarding the base here. Very beautiful place. It says here Major General Limbo Singh, 1909 to 1944. Limbo Singh's tomb was also found at the MacRitchie Reservoir. Major General Limbo Singh was born in 1909 in Nan An, Fukien, China. He came to Singapore at the age of 16. After studying at Raffles Institution and Hong Kong University, he inherited his father's business in Malaya. Since 1937, he became prominent in anti-Japanese activities. When Singapore fell in 1942, he went to Chongqing and, on instructions from the Chinese government, he joined the underground resistance section of the force under the Supreme Allied Command, Southeast Asia, 1943. As commanding officer of the Malayan Chinese section, he landed from a submarine at Bagan Datuk in Perak. So here's a bit of history about Limbo Singh, a very famous RI boy. This is Esplanade Park, a very big park in the heart of the city. Esplanade Park. Singaporean struggle against the violence and subversion of the Communist Party of Malaya, 1948 to 1989, dedicated to all those who brave violence and intimidation to fight for democratic non-communist Singapore. After World War II, communism was ascendant in Asia. In Singapore, the fight for independence from the British included a grave struggle between those who favoured the democratic path and those who support the Communist Party of Malaya. The CPM sought a communist regime in Malaya, including Singapore. It launched an armed insurrection in 1948, causing the colonial government to declare a state of emergency. 8,000 civilians and security personnel were killed or wounded before the insurrection was put down. This marker is dedicated to all those Singaporeans who rejected communism and supported the democratic non-communist path to independence and nation building. Their courage and sacrifices paved the way for later generations to achieve peace, harmony and progress for our nation. There's a plug here that says Indian National Army. In the final months of the Japanese occupation of Singapore, a memorial dedicated to the unknown warrior of the Indian National Army was constructed at this site. The local INA was formed in 1942 with Japanese support. It sought to liberate India from the British and consisted mainly of prisoners of war from the British Indian Army. Subhas Chandra Bose, who led the INA from 1943 onwards, laid the foundation stone for the memorial in 1945.